It all started was that I was born in Spanish Harlem in New York City, raised from an early age, 3, 4 years old, in the South Bronx in one of the most dilapidated neighborhoods in the country. It was considered and called Fort Apache, the precinct, because it had the highest crime rate in the city of New York, probably in the country. And so I grew up in that environment in the 70s, and the city, New York City, was facing bankruptcy. And so, therefore, city services were not available. So, garbage wasn't being picked up, the street lights weren't providing lighting. Um, there was gangs, there was drugs, and the South Bronx was burning. And I'm this young girl, going to church on Sundays as a Catholic, trying to get to school and do my work. And I saw that what's going on, that there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something better than this. And as I went from elementary to junior high school and high school, I realized that there was a need to consider how we could have a better quality of life. And as a result of that, I joined public service. I got involved, and I started that very early in college. Although I was observing the politics and the elected officials visiting the communities, like Herman Badillo back then, Bobby Garcia, coming to my neighborhood, when I was in junior high school and seeing that. And the result of it was right after college, when I thought I was going to go and aspire into a career on Wall Street, I ended up getting involved in public service. And I've been involved since the last 30 plus years. So it's interesting because this person also comes from the Bronx. And I know her well because we've crossed paths. And what's interesting is that you would think that, would be an elected official maybe, or, but this one is a judge, and she's Sotomayor, a Supreme Court justice. And she's been an inspiration, even though my work has been in public service, because of the way she conducts herself in the capacity of what the massive responsibility that is bestowed upon her. When you think about it, is this the best of times or the worst of times to be on the Supreme Court? When you think about everything that is happening in the country and around the world and the challenges that we're facing regarding our rights. And she handles herself with such integrity and compassion. And I always admire her, and I admire her even more. And I try to follow that sense of that no matter the challenges she's facing, she conducts herself with such compassion. And along with that is my mom. And with my mom is that, she's a woman, single mother, raising 8 of us, 7 girls and 1 boy in the South Bronx, under those conditions. And yet she always maintained a positivity and a way to make sure that the opportunities that were available to us, we could take advantage of it. And out of the 8 of us, I was the first to graduate from taking a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and then law school. And then I had a second sister that followed. All the others just did a high school diploma because they were forced to work to help my mom and to survive. And so those 2 individuals, to me, have instilled a leadership style that brings with it integrity, compassion, and just looking at things from a silver lining, the glass half full, not empty, so that you can find ways to improve whatever challenges you're being faced with. So those 2 ladies would be the ones that I would say. So So the identity that I brought into public service early on when I started, shortly after college, I worked for former Governor Mario Cuomo, and my identity was that I was going to be someone that was going to help my community, help elevate my community, do things that I can see around me show that the quality of life is getting better. And so my involvement and engagement in government as uh, the executive director for the governor's office of Hispanic Affairs was to make sure that my community and diverse communities, because I grew up, in the South Bronx, and there's Puerto Ricans, Latinos, but there were Dominicans, African Americans, and we all grew up together. We went to the same schools, and so it was more about diversity and being able to provide access, to bring the resources, necessary resources to the community, and bringing that 3 decades to the position that I currently hold until I start the new one, which is the appointment secretary to the governor. I'm the second Latino, Hispanic, let's say, to have this position. The first one was under Mario Cuomo, Toño Burgos, a well-known person in the community and throughout the country. He was the first one to hold this position. I'm the second Hispanic, first Latina. And in this position, what it does is that it fits into the identity that I've been trying to do for 30 years in all the roles that I played, from working with Mario Cuomo, from there, President Clinton, going on to Senator Hillary Clinton, and then 4 governors. And it was always about not only access, but also an access that allows people to tap into the resources, but also about putting people into positions of power and authority that would help create a Latino pipeline. Because once you start bringing Latinos into those levels of government positions, executive, you're opening up a pipeline, a pathway for more Latinos to be able to come into government service. And so I take that identity of someone who in my public service was committed and dedicated to empowering the Latino community, providing access and resources, and being able, in all the positions that I've had, when I'm ready to move, to be able to leave a Latino in that place, in that spot. And my reward in the work that I do has come from not so much, the accolades that we all get through the years, and I welcome them and I accept them. But it's when you run into the people that you've helped along the way that said, because of you, I was able to take and get this position. I was able to help this person. And so I hope that what I'm establishing as what has been my identity, that it's something that others can inherit as well, in terms of really have something that is purpose driven, right? So you want to have a successful career. You want to aspire. You want to succeed. You want to have that next position. But what does it all mean? And identity is what connects to what you give meaning to it, and that has been my identity, Latino empowerment, and I'm taking that with me to the new role. So I've been appointment secretary for almost 2 years now with the Governor Hochul, the first woman governor in the state of New York, and who has been a champion in providing opportunities for diverse communities. Started with appointing me. And when we have individuals like ourselves in these roles and these positions, the pool opens up, because now I'm able to bring that network of Latinos that are available to serve on boards and commissions, available to serve in executive positions and middle management positions. And now the position that I'm going to is to serve as chief of staff to the president and CEO of DASNY. DASNY is the Dormitory Authority of the state of New York. And the person that's in that position is a Puerto Rican, the first Latino ever to hold that post. And as his chief of staff, I look forward to working closely with him. This agency, it's an authority. Its mission is to help provide the resources and the funding for universities and colleges to build dormitories. But that was its historic purpose. But through the years and decades, it's come to become an authority that has the resources and the funding for other projects. And so the opportunity that I have there is who are we contracting with? Who are we giving opportunities to? And I will be there looking at it with that eye towards how our diversity is working internally to guarantee that and assure that. And so I'm excited about this new opportunity, still under the administration, Governor Hochul, but now, and it's important that I like to send this message to everyone that opportunities are always presented, especially when you're good at what you do, and you love what you do. And in my case, it's been one different opportunity after another, but the end game is serving my community. And sometimes we get comfortable, we get complacent, and we stay too long in a spot when opportunity is knocking at our door. And I encourage people to always look at where they're currently at, assess, have I accomplished my mission? Did I get what I needed to get done in that role? So that you don't close doors and allow yourself to move forward into other places where you could carry that with you and continue to make your mark. And that's what I'm doing in this new position. So let's start with how did I ended up becoming one of the highest ranking Latina in the Cuomo administration, Mario Cuomo administration, as the executive director of the governor's office of Hispanic Affairs. I followed in the footsteps of a great lady, Shirley Rodriguez Romaninski. She's passed away, but she left a legacy, and I followed in her path. And how did a governor call me and ask me to serve in this capacity? And it was because I was engaged, I was involved, I was networking, I was in my community, participating in political campaigns, participating in civic organizations, and being active and having a passion for really bringing better opportunities to why I was doing what I was doing. And the governor called me and I went to serve. And from that point forward, I just went from one administration to the other, from federal to state to city, back to state. And the advice that I would give those who are interested in pursuing a path into public service is you need to be engaged. You need to get involved. You need to network. And so Hope is an example of how young Latinas, our Latino community, should get involved, should participate in the activities, should participate in the events. If the distance is too far, do it virtually. But through getting involved, the network allows for the opportunities where we can help one another. And so when individuals came to me with their resumes in my role as appointment secretary, oftentimes they were already involved or engaged in something that allowed me to know a little bit more about them and their work. They were referred by the leadership or someone that's active or involved, and you need to create that network. There's so many positions, but so many individuals going for, let's say, a particular top position or middle management position. So you have to really, really show the effort and the commitment and the compassion for why you're attempting to get on a board or a commission, take a particular position in state government. And so that's my message. You have to be involved, you have to be engaged, and you need to network. And for Latinas, they start with an organization like Hope. Recently, you guys had an amazing luncheon in New York City that I was able to participate in. The interesting thing in that panel was that there were 3 of us, and 2 of them were young Latina assemblywomen of different Hispanic background. And what I brought to the panel was that I've been doing this for 3+ decades. And so I was able to bring to that element the history behind how these young Latinas got to where they got to. And they were involved, they were engaged, and they ended up being in elected office. So that's my message. Get involved. I belong to this network of women, maybe 25 of us, that started 3+ decades ago, with 2 women, Maria Hinojosa, I'm sure you know the name, and Rosana Rosado. And they just started a group, and we called it Latinas in Power. And we were all just starting out. I just started with Mario Cuomo, the governor, and Rosana was what I call Lois Lane. Back then, she was a reporter reporting on politics in the Latino community. And it turned out to be a group of journalists and lawyers that we stuck to each other till this very day, meeting on a monthly basis in each other's homes or in a restaurant. And these women are amazing. They've worked for the New York Times, CNN, El Diario La Prensa. And in that 3 decades plus of being together, I have seen how they have shaped policy or action in the work that they do. Rosana Rosado en El Diario, Maria Hinojosa, who's starting her own media company. But the most important thing is that when you think about it, this group, and this is an interesting story, we all know Sonia Sotomayor, and we knew her as a federal judge and as a friend. And when the news came down that she was on the short list to become Supreme Court Justice, we went into action, all of us, 25+, calling who we knew, emailing who we needed to, and really creating a silent movement, grassroots, but silent, but active enough, that was with conversations with Congress people like Anelia Velasquez and others, the mayor of the city of New York at that time, Bloomberg, and others, and just this engagement and involvement and commitment to seeing the first Hispanic on the Supreme Court. And voila, there she is. And that to me is a powerful example of how being part of a network, what we're capable of doing. And I'm sure that Hope has a lot of stories of things that it has been able to accomplish similarly in the work that they do. It'll be like repeating myself, but I'll start with get informed. Really get informed. Read reports on our Hispanic community. Similarly, Hope issued a report about recently about diversity in the workforce and where we stand, Latinas, in the numbers. And it's important that as we seek leadership roles, and we are Latinas, that even though it's not about just representing Latinas or the Hispanic community, but it is nice to know a little bit about your roots and your history and your community when you're trying to go out there and try to be that for everything. So like I've learned that when I think about diversity, I just don't think about the Hispanic community. I think about the Black community, the Asian community, and we continue to expand as New York City, New York State, and America keeps becoming more and more diverse. So it's to be informed. And in that information of being informed, reading up on your community, is to, once again, I'll repeat myself, to get engaged, get involved, become active. Through that process, you will find that opportunity that will lead you to a place in public service, whether it's elected office or in government service, that you will feel that you're a good fit and in the right place because you did the work. That's my advice.